Hi, y'all. My name is Bailey. I'm the host of this podcast called Hey, Dad, Can You Talk? And this is just a conversation between me and my dad, Toby, where I call him about things that I'm struggling with, like parenting, marriage, my mental wellness. I'm just feeling overwhelmed. And so we thought we would record it so that you guys could listen in too. So let's go ahead and call my dad. Hello, Father.
What's up, Bailey Diane Garner?
How's it going?
It's going just fine and dandy.
Good. What are the temps today?
Extremely warm. Let's just put it that way.
So any cool fronts in your future?
Not that I can see. Not yet, anyway.
We were talking with our friends in California, and their hot days were in the 80s. And here in Texas and Mississippi, that would be a cold day about now.
I'm trying pretty hard not to talk to anybody who lives north of me.
Well, that's a lot of people that live north of you. So you're just basically talking to no one?
Basically, yeah. Just me.
That's funny. Well, you caught me on a day that should be an interesting podcast. I should have texted you beforehand that said I might cry today. So,
Uh-oh, what's up?
So we're recording this in the morning after drop off, and it was a hard morning getting child number 3, Esther, to school. Lots of emotions these days that child has for what reason? I don't know, because she's a kid.
So what happened?
Just not wanting to do the things. It started with a downward spiral after she couldn't reach her blanket on the floor, and I told her she could pick it up herself, and apparently she can't do that. And so that just started all the everything. My life is horrible. You don't like me. Everything.
Sorry about that, B.
Yeah. Anyways, and then in the midst of that, I feel like Grant and I are just miscommunicating. So it just feels like one of those kind of days. So really, I think I wanted to ask you, like, because I think a lot of parents can have days like this where it just feels like everything is hard, and how are you going to get to the next day? And so my mind always instantly goes to, I just need to see a therapist. And I think like you have shared your story of going to therapy, and that's something that we at Gobi talk about, and we definitely suggest. But I think I wanted to ask you, when you know the right time that, like, to do that, it's a big investment for a family. But I think, like, a lot in the past couple of years, I've been in these moments of just like, feels like I just need someone to help me. But I don't know if it's just because I'm having a bad day. So, like, how do you know what's just a bad day? What's a smart decision for your, like, to be proactive in your life?
I'm sorry, baby. Well, I think, let me say a couple of things, and then we'll talk about your question. One is, I've probably talked this week to 6 people that have kids in your season of life, and they're all struggling. Everyone is struggling. It's not just you. I think that's the big lie we believe. When it gets challenging at home, that, it's got to be me. I'm not doing something right. And these transitions, what I call mini transitions, there's big transitions from no school to school for the first time, or going into elementary, or, middle or high school or college. Those transitions, you have to be really aware of the impact that those can have in your life. But these mini transitions are equally, maybe not at the level of severity, but they are a challenge, and they're equally challenging no matter where you find yourself. And so the question you're really asking is, when I come to a time of this kind of mini transition, you have an outside influence, an outside extenuating circumstance that is causing a lot of this stress. And so when that comes, the question is, what do I do? When do I know that I need to go see a therapist? And man, for people who are new to our conversations, I'm a huge therapy guy. I just don't think therapists are the first resort. I think they're the second or third resort after you have used some of the tools available to you to help you make your way, up these waterfalls of these many transitions that you're having. I think a lot of times when we're pretty emotional, whether we're depleted emotionally or whether we've been hurt emotionally, whatever it is, that it's easy to react in a way to look for something quickly that's going to bring an end to how you're feeling or how you're responding, when sometimes the fact of the matter is it's small things done over time that bring progress to your life. And so, like in your case, let's just use you as an example. I would say that looking for regular ways to fill yourself back up. This is part of this is a sign of you being emotionally depleted, whether it's, a recommitment to the 40 I ams in some form or fashion, getting in a Bible study, taking 30 minutes a day with music or something that is specifically designed to fill you up. And then in conversations with a friend, as you begin to practice those things, if you're not resolving that issue, but progress in how you're responding and how things are, then I think you start thinking about talking to a counselor, a therapist, about some new ways you might cope or deal with where you are. But you have a lot of tools at your disposal at the moment. And I wouldn't go see a therapist until you began to use some of those tools in your own life, because the strongest you can be is operating out of the tools that you have. For me, these tools that we offer at Gobi have been built over the last 30 years of my life. And so those tools have made me stronger because I've used them. I've watched them bring progress into my life. My therapist has made me stronger because some of the things I use are things that my counselor has told me at different times and different seasons of my life. There are times I need to go check in with my therapist. I just don't want it to be the first thing I do. I want to try to work through some of these things myself. And then when I find myself not able to cope, when I kind of have these, I call them out of body experiences, where I'm yelling at my kids, or I'm sobbing uncontrollably in my room, where I'm listless on the couch and can't seem to get up. When I find myself in those spots, now it's time for me to go and take another step in using a tool in my toolbox to try to find emotional wellness. That's a long answer to how do you know when? Well, it's not an exact science, but I would tell you this is where you ought to begin.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I was reading, I was doing like a Bible plan on the Bible app about parenting, and they said on there that when your kids become teenagers is the hardest season. And I was like, well, crap, I'm not going to make it. So it's like, oh man, it just feels like,
it's a different hard, Bailey. It's not harder than this season. It's just a different kind of hard.
Yeah. I just think that when you're in the middle of it and you feel like you're getting hit at all sides, that it feels like I can't always see from the outside looking in. Like sometimes if you're in a good spot, you can step back and be like, what's true and what's all that stuff. But then whenever you're in the middle and you feel like you can't get out, it's hard to look from a different perspective, or like step outside of your situation and tell yourself it'll get better. So, yeah, and I know that's why you have community. So I think I also just don't like feeling pain.
Well, yeah, I've never met the person who likes feeling pain, but pain is what is the impetus for change. You think of anything in your life where there's been significant transformation or change, it always started with a pain point. It's what pain does. That's how God leverages your pain. That's Romans 8:28. How God uses all things for good. He leverages your pain for your good, and pain is a signal of some type of change that needs to happen in your life.
Yeah.
But this is a unique season for your family. Grant's gone back to work. There's no telling what kind of pressure he's feeling as they start the season. You know, he's
Yeah.
trying to get back into a rhythm and dealing with challenges he hasn't dealt with in a few months. You've got a daughter who hasn't. She's testing the boundaries. She, this is the opportunity you have to teach her what boundaries are, what she can and can't do, and that's a new experience for her. She's gotten older, and you got boys who are tired from getting in the rhythm of school, and a mama who's tired. So all of that comes together as a perfect storm. And I don't want you to hear me saying don't see a therapist.
Yeah.
I would just ask you, what have you done, before you've gotten to the place where you instantly, if something is wrong with my body physically, I'm going to think, okay, what have I been eating? What have I been drinking? What kind of sleep pattern am I having? What kind of, things have I been doing? And I'm going to try to adjust those. And if that doesn't help, I'm going to go see, my family doctor. It's the same. I think it's the same principle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's good. I think that we've talked about this a lot on the podcast. Is there's so many things that we could be doing as parents, and even like in your marriage, that it feels like I constantly feel overwhelmed with where to start, or how to like focus on my marriage and focus on my kids, how to learn about each one of my kids, how they, what each one of them needs, and what my husband needs, and what I need for myself. It's like just so much to process, I guess, or think about every day. So
Yeah. And I know you've heard me say this before, but the enemy of feeling overwhelmed is doing nothing. That's the enemy. And that the answer to feeling overwhelmed is doing something. And so you sit there and you say, I have my kids, I've got myself, I've got my marriage. That's overwhelming when you think of all the places you could be working. And so the danger is, well, I'm just not going to work on any of them because there's too many to work on. And the answer really is, hey, I'm going to do something. I'm going to take a small step and get a small victory. We need just a little win in our lives. And it's amazing how our perspective changes when we get one small win in our lives. And I think that's a part of this, what the Bible calls contentment. I think we think about contentment in, oh, I don't need a new pair of shoes, or I don't need this. And yeah, that's a part of it. But I think the other part of it is, man, I'm going to be content with a small win right now, and live in the tension of there are other areas that need to get better, and they're going to get better just like this one area did. So I'm going to be able to celebrate the little win and not wait for everything to be perfect before I can be healthy.
that's a good word for sure.
So my question for you is, what's one thing you can do today for you, that puts you in a better spot? And then what's one thing that you can do with Grant that cannot make everything, some Hallmark movie, but takes you one step toward a better place? And what's one thing you can do with each of the kids? And when you begin to focus on those one small things, things progressively begin to get better.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Thank you. Well, this might not be an episode we can use. because I'm crying like a baby. But at the same time, I feel like there's probably a lot of people that feel that way at times. So maybe
I
it's
think
good for
lots
them.
of people feel that way, not at times, but right now. I
Mm-hmm.
think there's lots of moms who feel overwhelmed right now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I know there are. I walked
Yeah.
into my church home on Sunday and heard it from 10 people. And then I had a meeting yesterday with a young pastor, and we ended with, well, how's it going? Well, start of school. And he just told your story.
Yeah.
It's the kids are tired. They don't want to, it's light outside. They don't want to go to bed yet, but they need rest, all those things. So you're not the only one.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, would you end us with a prayer today? And then for everyone that's feeling this way, selfishly for me too. And then hopefully the next episode will be a little more perky.
Yeah, I'd love to pray for you. So, Father, I just thank you that you're not surprised that we struggle. I'm grateful that you're not disappointed in us, but you want to walk with us. And I would pray, Father, that you would put in Bailey and all these mamas past someone today that can walk with them, someone that has walked before them, that can speak life into them, and that you would give them a chance to help someone that's not where they are yet. I pray, Father, that they would find peace, that their heart could be content with small wins, not just big ones, and that they would remember that you are with them, and you with them is enough to help them keep moving forward. And so bless them today as mamas, as dads, as husbands, as wives, as young couples. Bless them with every gift from heaven. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank y'all for listening to this week's episode of our Hey Dad, Can You Talk podcast. We're so glad you were here. If you loved it, be sure to share with a friend. You can subscribe to us on YouTube or anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts. And we will be back with a new episode, not next week, but the next week. Also, anything we talked about in the episode, downloadables, free tools, anything like that, it will always be in our show notes, so make sure you check out the description of the episode. We can't wait to be back with you so soon. Talk to you later. Bye.